vaccination strategy for Alzheimer's disease. We are working with vaccination of Alzheimer's disease for the last 15 years, and that strategy came out after interesting paper in Nature in 1999 by the Alarm Group. And after that, the strategy is becoming more and more prevalent for treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Also, so far, we do not have much success. So, you know that about 50 million, 46.8 million people worldwide are living with dementia. And will be more than 9.9 million in this year. That means about every 3 seconds we get someone with Alzheimer's. In America, we have about 9.5 million, Africa 4 million, Europe 10.8, Asia 20.29. And dementia, when I'm saying Alzheimer's, because the majority of dementia is Alzheimer's. About 85% consider Alzheimer's. And we have also expecting that every 20 years the number will double. And this is the last report of 2015 World International World Alzheimer's Report. And we're expecting that in 2030 we will have 74.7 million people with dementia and 131 million people, more than that in 2015. Well, interestingly and unexpectedly, much of it was unexpected before, much of the increase will take place in low and middle income countries. In 2015, 58% of people with dementia, rising 63%, and 68% in 2015. The total estimated worldwide cost of dementia is incredible, about 800 billion. And if we will not get anything to do, so we will get a tremendous amount of cost in the nearest future, which is economically will be a serious burden for even the United States. Hispanic are believed to be 1.5 times more likely than non-Hispanic can get developed Alzheimer's disease. So this disease is important not only for United States, Japan, countries, but also for Mexico. And if you will look for the last paper which has been published in end of 2013, in December by Texas group at the University of Texas, they showed that Mexican Americans might develop memory problems that could lead to Alzheimer's disease as much as a decade earlier than non-Hispanic. So that's a serious problem, and I think your institution, which spent relatively small amount of time, my Spanish is bad, but I thought that it was 3%, over 6.5% of Parkinson disease, and Parkinson disease is not close to Alzheimer's disease by number of people who can get it. It's like epidemic. And the risk factor for early dementia is diabetes, actually. High blood pressure and obesity. So it's kind of coming back to what we discussed earlier here, that these diseases are importantly should be taken care of in Mexico. So we can hope that if we will find something, for example, vaccine, it will help people in some way. And Dr. Patel mentioned here when the disease is going on 20 years, we cannot really expect that we will get cure of this disease immediately. We can delay progression of disease. We can help people. But unlikely we can cure from Alzheimer's disease simply because this, if this is true, and neurologists should tell me because I'm a neurologist, that we have plaques and tangles here. And if it is true that we have, this is brain of Alzheimer's disease, this is normal, like clinical characterization. And if it is true that amyloid appeared decades before tau pathology, and tau pathology is more important for the disease progression, basically, for the disease. So then we need to start treatment in healthy people much earlier than disease starts. And that is why I don't believe that, as immunologists, that we can make a vaccine which will be therapeutic. Actually, there are only 2 therapeutic vaccines in the whole world approved. And one of them is only helping for 4 months stage 4 patient, prostate cancer patient to survive. And another one is working about 40–50% in elderly people and 30% in children. So therapeutic vaccination is very difficult to achieve. So what we have so far is a protective vaccination. So we need to think about that, because if you will look for these biomarkers which appeared that, now we can detect basically in Alzheimer's disease, but PET scan with radioactive sugar, we can detect amyloid at very early stages where people are not, they do not have any disease, basically. And that will help us to think about the biomarkers and treatment. So here's another biomarker, tau. It's more recently, about 1.5–2 years ago, Japanese and United States scientists found another sugar which is binding to the brain tau, and it shows the accumulation of tau. And again, we have PET scans which can be detected tau pathology. So coming back, tau pathology is going like easily from stage 1, for example, to stage 3 and stage 4. You see, it's propagating in the brain. And it's now very well known that tau is propagating from one part of the brain to another part of the brain. And we can detect it as early as possible if we will detect amyloid. So I believe in the nearest future, a PET scan will be used like a colonoscopy to detect the amyloid, to detect the tau, specifically to detect the amyloid, because then we can do the prevention. Then we can try to do something to delay the disease. This is what we have basically. There is a CSF amyloid which can be detected in CSF, obviously, with ELISA, and there is also CSF tau which can be detected with simple ELISA. And it could be phospho-tau or it could be total tau, but still we understand when the disease is starting. Then we have MRI, of course, and PET scan, and then we have, now we have also this PET scan, which allow us to detect the A beta and tau. So if you look for this, you can see that A beta is starting earlier, then amyloid with PET scan coming here, and then CSF tau picking up, and then finally picking up the PET scan tau, and then you can have MCI, normal MCI dimension. So what we have to do, we need to try to start to treat right here. So then it will be protection, but not therapy, which is unlikely we can achieve. Currently, unfortunately, there are no single drug which is helping Alzheimer's disease. When I asked my friend neurologist why they are giving this prescription to patients, they said, what else we should do? There is nothing to do, we need to give some hope to people. And in fact, memantine is working a little in the early stages, for at least can delay a little. But in general, there is no drug which can be used. About 2 months ago in August, we had the biggest IPO in the United States for biotech. It came from $300 million IPO, and within the 1 day, it kicked $3 billion. That was connected with Alzheimer's disease. Some young boy, 25 years old, wants a product which is binding HT5 receptor, which is serotonin receptor, and he used in combination with benepizil, and they said they have good data. I don't see data, I don't know what's happened, but 300 million become also in 1 day $3 billion. So that's how difficult is Alzheimer's, how is important is Alzheimer's. And Unfortunately, drugs which we have, they are basically unaffected, slightly improve cognitive function, and immunotherapy is kicking up, as I said, and we have era of vaccination now, which started basically in 2000. So what we have today? We have today multiple anti-A beta vaccine trials. 3 of them failed already: Pfizer, Elan, Janssen, Merck, and Afiris. For unknown reason, failed Merck. We don't know even what's happening. With Pfizer Elan, they did not see much antibody responses, and they did not see any improvement in phase 2. And this company basically has trial age, and N-terminal regional A beta amino acid 1 to 6, they call it mimetic, and they also did not get any positive result in phase 2. New other companies have continued to work with that, and we still hope that something could happen, because Biogen reported about 2 months ago that monoclonal antibody against amyloid is working very well, and based on that, the clinical trial is jumped from phase 1 to basically to phase 3. So we don't know how much it will work, but we will hope that we will get some data published and we'll understand that. Now, as I said to you, tau pathology is kicking up late, but tau pathology, immunotherapy of tau, long time was pretty much unclear for me and other immunologists, because tau is intercellular protein. However, it appears that it's coming out from the cells, and an antibody can target tau. Now it's clear that it is working, and 2 clinical trials they started. One of them AC Immune with ACI 35, the 2-phosphor amino acid peptide, which is contained together 2 phosphorylated amino acid, are in the clinic, and they used TLR4 agonist and PLA without THR molecules. And another clinical trial, both of them in the European Union, another clinical trial is started with CALH attached to this peptide, which is involved in formation of repeat domain of tau. And on top of that, at least 15 passive vaccination trials started. With vaccination trial, one of them is very, very big. It's 180 million trial for phase 1. And that trial, I think, also has some Mexican population. That trial is based on, they want to take the people, like 10,000 people, look for the PET scan. They take the amyloid, and if you have amyloid, but you do not have dementia, so they consider these people important for clinical trials. So they would like to get this population, that is why it's so expensive, because they need to get 10,000 to 20,000 people to come back with some small population. And then they would like to look for biomarkers after injection of monoclonal antibodies. They putting solanezumab there and bopinizumab, and that treatment is basically a preventive study, but with monoclonal antibody. Obviously, in my humble opinion of immunologists, that doesn't make any sense for me for future treatment, because monoclonal antibody is, first of all, very expensive. Secondly, you need to inject every 3 months, an incredible amount. And third, it is toxic, basically, specifically with high doses. So basically, what will help us to do these clinical trials, we will understand if this biomarkers are working, we can jump back to the vaccination using the same B-cell epitopes from the tau or amyloid, and then we can measure the efficacy of vaccine in a short period of time using biomarkers instead of waiting 20 years to see if this guy is going to get dementia or not. So what we learned from clinical trials that reduction of A beta pathology correlate with titer of antibody, so we need to generate a high titer of antibody. Although if very high titer of monoclonal injected IV, we can get CAH, so we need to be careful with that. And adverse reaction was mostly connected with T cells. That is why all clinical trials now, they try to use a carrier to bring the B cell epitope to the body and generate antibody responses without autoreactive T cell. A-beta immunotherapy should be initiated in human as early stages as possible, and the biomarkers may help us to do that. And therapeutic strategy may be more effective when vaccine target tau pathology instead of amyloid, because simply tau is decades later than A-beta. We work with epitope vaccine starting 2001. We generated only from NIH about maybe $20 million for this 15 years. Our group is pretty successful in generation of vaccine, which is based on so-called multi-tech platform. What we did actually, we generated strings of T-cell epitopes, which are all foreign, and they do not have anything to do with cell molecules, not tau nor A-beta. So there is no way we can do any autoreactive T-cell response. And these epitopes are here. This is multi-tech platform. It's universal. It can be attached to anything. So we have amyloid attached, tau attached, alpha-synuclein attached. This can be used for Parkinson disease as well. And we are now working with molecules which can be chemically attached to the multi-tep because this is a recombinant protein. And through cysteine, it's also called click methodology. So we basically can do a lot of things now. Also, at the same time, this platform can be used for flu, for example, or any other disease which is related, or we want to generate antibody against something which we can do. So basically, the idea is pretty simple. When antigen has 2 points, this multi-tep platform activate T lymphocyte, B cell epitope activate B lymphocyte, they interact together, and then we have adjuvant, which can activate antigen-presenting cells, and we can get antibody which will be pretty safe because they will be targeting only pathological form of molecule. Let's try to cut that. So basically we showed that one advantage of our platform is that we have 8 epitopes from tetanus toxoid. I don't know in Mexico, but in the United States, every 10 years you need to be revaccinated with tetanus toxoid. So every 10 years you increase the number of memory T cells which will recognize this epitope which you put it in. The same happened with hepatitis B, 2 epitopes we'll put it in, one of them from HBS antigen, another one from core, and then we put it M protein of flu too. So basically, all of us has a memory T cell against this epitope. So injecting this multi-tep allow us to reactivate memory T cells, and we can very quickly generate high titer of immune responses, which we showed actually in monkeys, rabbits, and mice. And second idea which we have, so we want to start to work, as I said, with amyloid vaccination as early as possible. So the situation completely changed in the recent couple of years. Before, we had only these clinical stages of amyloid, the mild to moderate, severe, and more recently was MCI. And that's all. But today we have a special preclinical stages of amyloid. So this is extremely important. The preclinical stages are based basically on all these methods which I mentioned. That is why I will think that Mexican Republic should try to have these old biomarkers established in the country, so it will help you to understand better these preclinical stages, and maybe in a certain period of time when we will have some medicine, some vaccine, some monoclonal which may work, that will help us to treat the people. So now stage 1 is asymptomatic amyloidosis, when you have only amyloid inside. Stage 2, we have amyloid and some neurodegeneration, like for example, pathophysiological processes, biomarkers, FDC, MRI, CSF, all which I described. And stage 3 is attached with a subtle cognitive decline. I always laugh because when neurologists explain the subtle decline, I realize that it's me, because I always forget to close the door, where is my key, and so on and so on. But it looks like they suggested that it's a subtle decline. So MCI is a typical AD type of amnestic phenotype along with positive AD biomarker. Now we can have MCI, and many people are trying to use this prodromal. So we are now working with IND, and we want to do in IND first time active vaccination with A-beta with prodromal AD people. If we will get that IND, that hopefully we can generate some data which will be interesting for all of us. So basically, as I mentioned to you, I think that in stage 1, preclinical, for example, we can use anti-A-beta vaccine to prevent accumulation of A-beta, toxic form. And anti-A-beta early therapeutic vaccine can be used in preclinical stage 2 and 3. Well, the early clinical stage is prodromal MCI, we can use anti-A-beta therapeutic vaccination. But then, unfortunately, after that, everything will be therapeutic, and as mentioned to you so far, we immunologists are not very successful in generation of therapeutic vaccine in general. Now, just simply market of anti-tau, for example, neurotherapeutic. You can see, and this is all not clinical statement. This is non-clinical finalized, and the cost, and then they license for $500 million to something to someone. And then another guy, something to them for another 500. And this is $675 million. And this is so you can see it's completely crazy. And it's crazy because it's a big stake, of course. And company want to find out what can be done. This is a group of people who work with me. David Chris is my old-time collaborator. Newton Jones, he is basically stem cells guy. He's trying to use stem cells for Alzheimer's disease. And this is my group of people at my institute. We have also good people who help us. Bob Diamond, he was at WashU, he moved to Texas now. David Holtzman, he's the head of the Department of Neurology in WashU, very famous scientist. Lon Schneider, he's a very famous MD who is helping us with clinical trials. And David Morgan is the director of the Institute at the University of South Florida. Thank you very much, and I would probably stop here because I did not want to go to the details. Thank you.